is job training. If someone is given a meaningful job, it's almost as effective as residential treatment. So that for a long time had us thinking, what if we combine these two? What if we combine drug treatment with job training? And so that's what we've been doing. I was a product of an internship program in my hometown of Inez where someone mentored me and helped me. So we early on started an internship program and we saw incredible results. Like Vanessa Keaton, who went from an IV needle user to now is sober 7 years. She's now a college graduate. She's been a former center director, and she just started her own business. People like Matt Brown, who's here with me, who had a pain pill problem, but today is my chief of staff helping me run the company. He's now a Louisa City Council member and just planted a church, and he's a pastor in our town. People like Brandon Leslie, who was a military veteran, Iraq, Afghanistan veteran, and now is the director of the center near Moorhead that saved his life. To me, the power of SOAR is about connection. And once we saw the success of our internship program, SOAR connected us with Jeff Whitehead and the great folks at EKSEP. We joined with Sullivan University and we created this past October a Peer Support Specialist Academy, where someone, after they get through the first 2 phases of treatment, can start college classes. It's online based. They can earn almost 40 college credit hours. And at the end of that process, they can be a state certified peer support specialist, which is someone who's been clean and sober for a year, that is, goes through a training process, and they start at $12 to $13 an hour. Our first class that started in October graduated this past May. We graduated 16 graduates. My slide is now outdated because yesterday, when I turned this slide in, there was 16 graduates, 15 employed. I got notice on the way here last night that our 16th one got full-time employed, so now all 16 graduates are employed, paying taxes. They no longer need Medicaid, and they're helping others to recover. Since we started in December 2010, we've created 200 jobs in Eastern Kentucky with an average pay of $37,500. And of those 200 jobs created, 70 of our employees are former drug addicts who are now off of Medicaid, who are now off of public assistance. They have private health insurance and they're supporting themselves. And most importantly, they're helping others to recovery. Addiction treatment with job training can not only save lives in Kentucky, but Kentucky has an opportunity to be a national leader in developing addiction treatment as a new healthcare sector in our economy. And I can tell you today, there's no place I would rather be than Eastern Kentucky doing this. Our Congressman, Hal Rogers, is seen as a national leader. Senator Markey calls him the Paul Revere of this issue because he's been alarming the nation, calling an alarm on the drug epidemic for the last decade. He started organizations like Unite. They started the National Prescription Drug Summit. So Congressman Rogers, because of his emphasis, has allowed organizations like us to get started. And that's why we have more drug treatment centers in Eastern Kentucky than anywhere else in our state, and why people are coming from all over. And the last thing I'd say, at that same conference, there was a governor who stood up as a keynote speaker and talked about second chances, talked about redemption, talked about changing our criminal justice reform, talked about overcoming the drug problem. Our governor, Matt Bevin, was one of the most impressive people that spoke that day, and folks all over that conference said, we wish we had a governor in our state that understood this issue like our governor. The drug problem may seem hopeless, it may seem insurmountable, but if we will recognize that those in addiction are our neighbors, our friends, our family, if we will give them access to treatment and then train them for a job, then our best days on this issue are ahead of us. And I believe that in Eastern Kentucky, this problem can be a great source of economic development for us. Thank you all.
We went 13 miles through the heart of this mountain.
There were men shooting coal, there were men shoveling coal, there were men hauling coal.
Portal 31 had, at its heyday, it probably had 2,500 miners mining 3 shifts a day.
The town was just drying up, business shutting down. So it's just in my heart, burning in my heart that, you know, something's got to give.
The dreams need to begin on the inside with the people who are already there, who they may be so down they don't even know that they can dream.
I think it's important to understand that God desires to change every city, but He's looking for somebody who will believe He can.
Thank God God sent us someone to help us.
Came home to settle her mother's estate after she passed. And the Lord spoke to Lonnie while he was here.
We soon found there was no water and no power, and it was cold. It was like 20 degrees. I just cried because of what I saw. We had never talked about coming back to Lynch because there was nothing here.
But God more or less told them, Lonnie and Belinda, it's time to go home.
When we first came back to Lynch, my wife and I were sitting at the table. We did not have a clue as to what the Lord wanted to do. I went out the back door of my home, and there on the back step sat 2 boxes. Wind chill was well below 0 then. It was a cold winter. And so I picked up the boxes, took them in the house, and yelled at my wife. I said, honey, come and look at this. We opened the boxes, and there were 2 15-pound boxes of cookie dough. Cookie dough. I looked at that, and I said, honey, what in the world are we going to do with 30 pounds of cookie dough? And she said, we're going to bake cookies. It's fun, baby. And we gave away those cookies. But it taught us a valuable lesson. And the lesson was this. Everything God gives you is just cookie dough. We really believe God can do the impossible. Not only theoretically, but practically, where we are. Not somewhere else. Not in another part of the world. Right here where we are. It began to occur that we're out of the ordinary. It hadn't happened for 40 years.
When you go somewhere expecting something, God does something. That's what faith is.
It really began in the fall of '99, after the prayer meeting.
I had a vision of these mountains full of people.
We started to get phone calls, and people would say, we'd love to come and help. What can we do?
The second year they had 600 volunteers. The next year 1,200. The next year 2,000.
And I said, well, this has got to be God because we didn't call anybody.
I read an article not long ago by somebody. They said the best thing that we could do in this area is basically shut it down and move away. Well, we don't feel that way.
In God's due time, now we have traffic flow. We have motorcyclists. We have bicyclists. We have tourists. And they're just coming.
And all these buildings now are revived and alive again. They're putting things in them.
And now the city has taken on a whole new feel.
This movement of God is the greatest movement of God in one location that I've seen in more than 50 years of ministry. 100 years ago, people were coming here from multiple countries, and they were coming here to work in the mines. Now people are coming here from around the world, and they're coming here simply to see what God is doing.
It's just been a miraculous story from the very beginning.
If we will allow Him to be first and foremost, I can repeat from the Bible, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what He has in store for us.
When you've seen God move in God's power, you've seen God do what only God is able to do. You've seen the impact not only on your life, but on the lives of others. You can never go back to church as usual, ministry as usual. You simply can't.
My name is Lonnie Riley. I direct the Marizo Center, and I couldn't do it without my lovely bride of 47 years. Wave at them, hon, so they'll see who you are. The town of Lynch is not any different than many small towns in the Soar region, but we've come to a crossroads. But that crossroads is much more than one of economic opportunity. What we're really seeking is the revival of the mind, soul, and spirit of Eastern Kentucky. What's happening in Lynch is cutting edge. It's so far out there that some say it can't be out of the box because the box is nowhere to be found. But it'll work, and this is why. Connecting every home and business in Lynch with world-class broadband will level the playing field for us. Now, it's a far cry from the deep mines that once fueled the industrial revolution of our great nation, but our connectivity and the faith and grit of the workers that once picked 1 million tons and shoveled 1 million tons of coal for U.S. Steel can and will fuel the revolution of building a 21st century Appalachia. God's wanting to change Appalachia, but he's looking for someone to do it. And that's you, and that's me, and that's Soar. There's something stirring in these mountains. In Lynch, it's a spirit of connectivity that started with a community praying together and rallying together to do the unthinkable. And now the unthinkable is reality. We're building a digital infrastructure second to none, providing digital economy thanks to the works of Teleworks USA and Eastern Telephone and Technology. For those who want to do work and do business in a global economy, it's now there. This, combined with the small businesses as the ones you saw in the film, and our new agribusiness center, and other small business that we're beginning, is truly changing our town. The Lord is wanting to do a work. And it is my hope that this story will inspire you to do the same in your community. It is my hope that you embrace your heritage, your faith in God, and some grit, and you can build a better tomorrow for Eastern Kentucky. Visit our booth, number 64, for more information. May the Lord bless you, and may God bless Eastern Kentucky. Thank you very much.
How about a big hand for these local people who showed up? They're doing big things. They're creating jobs. They're changing their communities. That is incredible. Next up, we have the Chief Operating Officer from the National Science Foundation. It is just an honor to have her here with us. STEM education is obviously important in everything that we're doing. And please give a warm welcome to Dr. Joan Farini-Mundy.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, or I guess it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and on behalf of the National Science Foundation, I would like to express my gratitude to Congressman Rogers for inviting the National Science Foundation to be a part of this great initiative, and to thank Governor Bevin for his great efforts to strengthen Kentucky's economy and invest in that one truly indispensable ingredient for growth, people. People are the cornerstone of our nation's scientific endeavor as well. The discoveries, the new technologies that lead to better quality of life, the industries that come out of basic scientific research, and the next generations that will be open to the inspiration of science. None of this is possible without scientists, engineers, educators, and entrepreneurs, as well as parents, business leaders, and community members who recognize the critical role that education and learning play throughout our lives, and I understand fully how critical that point of view is to the SOAR enterprise. People are the common denominator when it comes to success, and NSF understands this.
This is about discovery.
Pushing the edge of the known.
Changing the way we live.
Did you ever use a CD, cell phone, barcode, that thing they call the internet?
Maybe a touchscreen, LED lights, a web browser, GPS.
Ever get an MRI, do a Google search, check a weather forecast?
Every one of those things was improved on or made possible by fundamental research supported by the National Science Foundation.
And there's also 3D printing, laser eye surgery, safe for cars.
New biomedical tools, improved disaster preparedness.
Even disease-resistant bees.
Today, NSF supports people and places to develop tomorrow's scientists and engineers,
and create new knowledge in fields from A to Z.
to help us understand our world, solve societal challenges, spur innovation, and improve our lives.
The National Science Foundation supports fundamental research,
Insights,
ideas
breakthroughs,
that ultimately create jobs and help drive our economy,
enhance our nation's security.
and advance our knowledge to keep us a global leader.
What really causes economic growth is it's always innovation. So how do we get more of it? We invest in basic research. Well, that's as simple as that.
NSF is the only federal agency that supports fundamental basic research and education across all fields of science and engineering. We're responsible for being the funding source for 24% of the federally supported basic research conducted by America's colleges and universities, including right here in Kentucky and the wider Appalachian region. NSF's mission to promote the progress of science, to advance the national health, prosperity, and welfare, to secure the national defense, aligns with the goals of SOAR and Eastern Kentucky. As you saw in the video, NSF investments in basic research have paid handsome dividends over the decades, impacting our society in very real ways. Many of these have spawned new industries, such as 3D printing. To stay at the forefront of discovery, however, and to remain competitive in a world that is rapidly changing, NSF also invests in people. A number of NSF's programs are designed to cultivate a workforce that is prepared for the challenges and opportunities that exist now and those that lie ahead. Kentucky and Greater Appalachia have been partners in many of these programs. Last year, Kentucky received more than $31 million in funding from the National Science Foundation. Over the past decade, 17 of the state's universities and colleges secured more than $230 million in NSF funding for research and programs. It's very competitive to get funding from the National Science Foundation. We fund only about 25% of the proposals that are submitted. The impressive record in the state of Kentucky speaks to the great ideas coming from the Commonwealth's scientists and educators. Many of those great ideas are reflected in the SOAR Regional Blueprint. Your blueprint talks about developing a workforce that is competitive in the digital economy and in other emerging industries. I want to talk to you a little bit about the many NSF programs that are designed to help states build and expand that critical resource, this notion of the workforce, which SOAR's success depends upon. One of our initiatives, the Advanced Technological Education Program, for example, focuses on preparing technicians for high technology jobs with an emphasis on two-year colleges. In 2016 and in preceding years, several community colleges in Kentucky have partnered, designed projects to build a 21st century workforce, and successfully won funds from this NSF program. For instance, a newly funded Somerset Community College project seeks to stimulate both technological growth in additive manufacturing or 3D printing and the employability of technician graduates into high-wage positions. That project was able to leverage its results into a small rural business development technical assistance grant with the USDA. As we know, the ability to offer potential employers a highly skilled technological workforce is attractive to new industry. Industries like Brady Industries certainly know the value of a skilled workforce. Brady's $1.3 billion aluminum mill in South Shore will create hundreds of advanced manufacturing jobs. Other projects in Kentucky have received NSF support as well. In 1978, NSF launched the experimental program to stimulate competitive research. It's called EPSCoR. And EPSCoR focuses on enhancing the research, education, and technology capabilities of states that have traditionally received smaller amounts of federal R&D funds. And Congressman Rogers has been a staunch supporter of the EPSCoR program, and we appreciate that. States like Kentucky and West Virginia were some of the first to apply for EPSCoR funding, and over the decades, Kentucky's state government, academic institution, and industries have partnered with NSF to build a strong science and technology research backbone. Most recently, in 2014, Kentucky competed successfully and was awarded a $20 million five-year EPSCoR grant. That statewide project will upgrade the state's research infrastructure and help transition Kentucky toward a new energy economy. It's called Powering the Kentucky Bioeconomy for a Sustainable Future. The project will, among other things, focus on training a modern, resilient STEM workforce, mentoring and recruiting women and first-generation college students, as well as rural and low-income students. When we turn to SOAR's blueprint goal of creating and expanding small businesses in the region, this is also an area where NSF can contribute and has done so already. There's a bevy of small startup businesses in Kentucky, some of which you see on this slide, that have received NSF support through our Small Business Innovation Research Program. Burt Thin Films, for example, is helping to make the solar industry more affordable by developing less expensive pastes, using copper instead of the more volatile commodity silver to coat solar cells, and building on fundamental research in materials science. Advanced Energy Materials works to remove sulfur compounds from transportation fuels, reducing sulfur in the air. Luminari created technology that would make LED lights 20 to 40% brighter per unit of input power, helping reduce power consumption. Interestingly, Luminari was originally based in Silicon Valley, but moved its operation to Kentucky because the state was willing to match federal dollars one-to-one for this NSF-funded business. That's a truly unique example of state and federal collaboration. Of course, all of these investments are in addition to NSF's more traditional support of basic research. That basic research provides the training grounds for tomorrow's scientists, technicians, and engineers. That next generation is important, and the world around us has changed. Technology has transformed our personal spaces and our workplaces. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things all are now a part of this new human technology frontier. It's changed how we produce goods, provide services, and collaborate with colleagues. It's even changed how we interact with our friends and our families. NSF has identified this area, the human technology frontier, as one of our 10 big ideas. If the new technologies coming online are to foster, not diminish, job growth and economic development, our workers will need durable, STEM-based skills and a lifelong enthusiasm for learning that ensures resiliency. Even though STEM jobs have been growing since the 60s and are projected to keep growing, studies reveal a worrying lack of proficiency in STEM among our students, with countries such as China and Singapore passing us by. Employers lament that too few applicants have the STEM skills needed to fill positions. So in this new era, STEM competency is not just desirable but essential. And people of all ages must have opportunities to continue to access STEM learning and be inspired, and to learn new skills like coding that can affect new opportunities over their careers. It's a lifelong learning focus. Kentucky has been very proactive in addressing this need with a series of collaborative initiatives over several decades that the state has launched that have led to success. These partnerships, such as the Appalachian Rural Systemic Initiative in the 90s, the Appalachian Math and Science Partnership, PIMSR, now based at Eastern Kentucky University, and SOAR. These collaborations that bring together multiple sectors are unique in many ways to the state of Kentucky and show such promise for progress. It's really an impressive effort. These are the pathways that Kentuckians, and Eastern Kentuckians in particular, have forged through collaboration and boldness. They will ensure that this region is both a driver and beneficiary of economic development and job growth. I'd like to make one last point about the future of STEM, and again, this is an NSF big idea. Our society is diverse. Our investments in the next generation must nurture all talent, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, disability, or socioeconomic background. A future discovery or an answer to a problem can come from anywhere, and we as educators, business leaders, government leaders need to be open to that possibility. Our newly launched NSF Includes program aims to address this challenge. It's a lot like SOAR. It uses the principles of collective impact, networked communities, and strategic partnerships. And one of the first awards in the Includes program went to Kentucky State University, which is partnering to focus on the advancement of minority males in science and engineering. So in closing, the goals outlined in the SOAR blueprint are both ambitious and certainly achievable as I come to understand the incredible energy and commitment across this region. When the partners work together in creative ways, you will be able to make the changes that you seek, and I congratulate SOAR for this incredible effort. As you move forward and pursue your goals and your agenda for greater growth and prosperity in this region, Be assured that the National Science Foundation will continue to support and serve as a valuable partner in that effort. Together, we can build on the extraordinary strengths of this great region, and we're honored to be working with you. Thank you very much.
Our final speaker this morning, before the Governor and Congressman come back for closing comments, is John Stevenson. He is the Senior Manager of Public Policy at Amazon Web Services. You ever heard of Amazon? We are so honored to have them here and be in discussions with them as we move forward in many of our efforts. It's just incredible. John, I've met him several times, and we work with Melissa here in the state that's been a fantastic partner. We appreciate her. And I want to share kind of their vision and story. They might know a little bit about technology, so I'm glad to have him here today. Give a big welcome to John Stevenson.
Good morning. Thank you, Jared, for that wonderful introduction. It is an honor for me and for Amazon to be with you all here today at Soar Summit 17. It's an honor to come up here on the stage after great speakers like Governor Bevin, Congressman Rogers, the coach. I hope I can do them justice and close out this section of the morning. I would like to thank Jared and the SOAR organization for inviting me and Amazon to be a part of this event and to speak with you today. I've been asked to share some thoughts on how technology will enable job creation, innovation, and economic opportunity here in Eastern Kentucky. These are topics we enjoy thinking about at Amazon and we think about a lot. It's also a topic I think a lot about personally. Like you, I come from a Commonwealth, Pennsylvania. I grew up not far from the steel mills of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, among some small family farms. And like Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is thinking about how to improve the quality of life amidst broad economic changes. I'd like to share some observations today on the significant opportunity that we at Amazon see before Eastern Kentucky and why we believe it is day one here in the great Commonwealth. Kentucky is an important state for Amazon and for our growth. Amazon opened its first fulfillment center 15 years ago in Campbellsville. Today we have more than 12,000 employees here in Kentucky, and we continue to grow. We also have more than 20,000 authors, sellers, developers, selling their books, selling their wares and services, and building great applications using the power of the internet and Amazon.com to sell and interact with people all over the world. And we continue to grow here in Kentucky. In January, Amazon announced plans to site its new global air cargo hub at Northern Kentucky Cincinnati Airport that will eventually employ 2,000 people. Since our founding in 1994, we've grown from a small online bookseller to a global company employing more than 400,000 people across multiple businesses, including one that I represent, Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short. AWS is a cloud services business that we launched in 2006 that has become the fastest enterprise IT company to reach $16 billion in annual run rate. Our success at Amazon is attributed to our employees and our culture. We're a company that hires builders, innovators, and pioneers. And fundamental to our culture is a belief that it is always day one. Day one to Amazon means that we always strive to act like a small, swift startup. That means we experiment, we accept there will be failure, and we move quickly beyond them. We don't allow our company to be overly complex and complicated, in organization and process, and we are relentless and obsessing over our customers. We believe it is day one here in Eastern Kentucky. Like Amazon, Appalachia was settled by builders, inventors, and pioneers who played a pivotal role in the industrialization of this great nation. The capabilities, attributes, and work ethic of this region's workforce are transferable to the new digital economy. Across Eastern Kentucky right now, as exhibited here at this Soar Summit and elsewhere, builders, inventors, and pioneers of today are creating new kinds of startups that harness the talent and the resources of this region and are making them ready for the digital economy. And with broadband internet access, Eastern Kentucky stands poised to capitalize on the economic prosperity available in the digital economy. So what does the digital economy mean? SOAR's blueprint outlines opportunity that will become possible through the power of the internet in small business creation and a workforce prepared to take advantage of the careers available in the 21st century economy. We are in the midst of a global technological revolution that Eastern Kentucky is working to take advantage of. Ushered in by the introduction of the internet, the disruption of traditional business models and economic structures is moving at an unprecedented pace that startups and those ready for the digital economy can benefit from. This technological revolution, sometimes known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution, is a transformation unlike anything the world has seen before and experienced in terms of its breadth and speed. Just as the First Industrial Revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production, the second used electric power to create mass production. The third used electronics and IT to automate production. And the fourth industrial revolution is now blurring the lines between the physical and the digital. Unlike previous revolutions, the fourth industrial revolution is happening at a pace that our traditional economic structures and trainings and frameworks are not designed to keep up with. And this revolution is disrupting nearly every industry in every country around the world. The impacts for most Kentuckians can already be seen in everyday lives, whether it be ordering products online rather than driving to a store, connecting with friends via social media rather than making a telephone call, or watching a movie at home whenever you want rather than visiting a local movie theater. The new way of communicating and conducting business is creating new jobs, companies, and industries that did not exist 10 years ago. Or even 5 years ago. Moreover, the internet has the power to not only disrupt, but connect and enable what is happening around the world. It has the power to unlock for Eastern Kentucky the entire world of economic opportunities. In our own business at Amazon, we have used the power of the internet to build Amazon.com into what it is today, and has proven to be a powerful engine to enable our company to serve customers and scale globally. For example, after over a decade of building and running Amazon.com with Prime 2-day free shipping, books on the Kindle, we found that we had a core competency in operating massive technology and data centers. So in 2006, we had a big idea. We launched Amazon Web Services, or AWS, to provide information technology services to our customers, what is today known as cloud computing. Cloud computing is at the heart of the digital economy and the disruption that is happening all around us. Simply put, cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with zero upfront costs, built-in world-class security, no long-term contracts, and pay-as-you-go pricing. Before the cloud, organizations had to undergo long planning processes to determine what IT equipment and software they would need. Buy it up front, set it up, and enter into long-term contracts and hope you've planned properly for the future. But with cloud, you turn things on as you need them, and you turn them off when you don't. So instead of having to invest in large capital and for IT, like data centers and equipment, you only pay for what you use when you use it. And in a cloud computing environment, new IT resources, new products, new services, new capabilities are only one click away, which means you reduce the time it takes to scale a business from years and months to minutes. By removing some of the capital barriers to starting a new business, developing new products, and rapidly expanding services to customers, the cloud has changed how the world thinks about innovation and growth. It has certainly changed how Amazon thinks about innovation and growth. And if you think about what's happened in the last few years with the rise of the fourth industrial revolution, if you look at some of these long-standing businesses that have been completely disrupted by new companies in a very short amount of time, it's pretty interesting. Think about Pinterest and visual search, Airbnb and hotels, Netflix and entertainment, and Lyft with transportation. These are all businesses you hear about, and they're all businesses built on top of the cloud. They are built on AWS and others, and they are rapidly changing industries that have been around for a very long time or didn't exist before. And so it means as a business, you don't have the option of moving slow anymore if you want to remain competitive in the long run in this new economy. And you have to be able to move fast, be agile, and innovate in the digital economy. Although it sounds scary, it's also a great opportunity. There's tremendous opportunity for Eastern Kentucky to take advantage of the benefits of the cloud through its workforce and the technologies to build the next wave of disruptive products and services for the world. While the growth in the digital global economy is upon us, the technology jobs market is also alive and thriving. The technology jobs market grew last year 2% to 7.3 million workers in software, cybersecurity, and cloud, according to CyberState's 2017, a study by the Technology Trade Association, CompTIA. The vast majority were employed by tech companies, but many of these technologists are also employed in other industries, such as banking and healthcare. This is because the importance of technology and the corresponding need for skilled workers continues to increase across the global economy. We believe there is a huge opportunity upon us for company and job creation in Eastern Kentucky. The power of the cloud is available to Eastern Kentucky right now through AWS to individuals, small businesses, schools, nonprofits, and government organizations. And this all sounds good, but we know we have to roll up our sleeves together for Eastern Kentucky to take advantage of these opportunities. We at Amazon are excited to be a part of many programs to train and employ Kentuckians and get them ready for this new digital economy. One program we are particularly proud of is one called Career Choice, which offers our hourly Kentucky Fulfillment Center workers up to $12,000 in tuition, textbook fees, and associated fees over 4 years. Through Career Choice, our employees in the fulfillment centers can earn certificates and associate's degrees in high-demand occupations, such as IT, machine tool technologies, medical lab technologies, nursing, and many other fields from educational institutions like the Kentucky Community and Technical College system. Not surprisingly, because of Kentucky's entrepreneurial spirit, one of the first employees to successfully graduate from this program was from Hebron, Kentucky. She is now pursuing her dream as a nurse in her local community. We're also pleased to be a part of a recent announcement from the Commonwealth of Kentucky to collaborate with the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet, KCTS, and the nonprofit Project Lead the Way to prepare Kentucky's elementary and high school students, as well as KCTS adult learners, for technology-based careers. And I want to particularly call out the leadership of the governor and the Education and Workforce Cabinet for making that a reality. Through this statewide endeavor, the group will be leveraging AWS Educate, Amazon's free, online, global initiative to solve the cloud services gap in the workforce by providing students and educators around the world with the resources needed to accelerate cloud-related learning and obtain careers in cloud fields. Courses and educational opportunities will be designed to prepare Kentuckians with the skill sets needed to address the massive growth in job opportunities in the cloud computing, cybersecurity, and computer science fields. We'll also be focusing on driving awareness about cloud careers including the available opportunities and associated industry certifications via online videos to educate participants. Finally, we'll be mapping private sector employers, both located here in Kentucky, and those employers around the world offering virtual employment opportunities to Kentuckians through the AWS Educate Jobs Board and other programs for apprenticeships, internships, and jobs. I want to conclude by saying that the opportunity in the digital economy made possible by the internet will not be realized overnight. But through the efforts of the SOAR organization and the people in this room to promote broadband, collaboration, and fostering these new ideas here in Eastern Kentucky, the future looks brighter. Amazon is pleased to be a part of this. One of our senior-most executives, Teresa Carlson, hails from Pulaski County and is very proud of the work we are doing here. I hope that my remarks will inspire you to learn more about the possibilities of the digital economy and cloud computing, perhaps even by starting your own business someday on AWS. It will take hard work and the collaboration of government, education, and private industry to transform Kentucky into a national model for technology education, retraining, entrepreneurship, and job creation. To echo Congressman Rogers' remarks earlier, my boss, Jeff Bezos, has said he wants things to have impact. So we remain very optimistic on what the internet and builders and pioneers make possible because we see it at Amazon every day. And we feel we are having an impact here, and we look forward to continuing that. We are not at the end or even in the middle. We're always at the beginning because it's day one for Amazon and day one for Eastern Kentucky. Thank you very much.
We're going to invite Congressman Hal Rogers up. Anybody know him? Congressman Rogers, we invite you up for your closing comments. Thank you, John. Thank you, Amazon Web Services. And Congressman Rogers for our closing thoughts.
Well, thank you, Jared. Don't he do a terrific job? Little special something here that's not on the program that I think you'll enjoy. And I'm going to ask Belfry High School football coach Philip Haywood if he would join us on the stage up here. One common theme has been present in every success story that we've heard today, and it's a thing called leadership. A good leader is proactive, helps us persevere through challenges, remains steadfast through defeat, and gracious in victory. A strong leader also knows how to get the win and motivate his team through the last play. I ask another one of our region's legendary coaches to join us today because of the special recognition that he has recently received. The head coach of Belfry High School football team, Coach Philip Haywood. Thank you. He has mentored and coached 4 generations of football players in our region. Coach Haywood is the state's all-time winningest coach with a career record, get this, 417 wins in 42 years of coaching. Most recently, he led the Belfry Pirates to their 4th consecutive Class 3A state championship. That's just one of 12 championship appearances, claiming 6 state titles. As a result of his monumental success, he was recently named the National Coach of the Year by the National High School Athletic Coaches Association. Yesterday, I honored Coach Haywood with a flag flown over the U.S. Capitol in his honor down at Belfry High, and a congressional tribute that has been recorded in the Library of Congress describing his record. His advice to us yesterday was to try to add value to other people's lives as we grow older. That's a phrase we heard from another coach earlier in the day, isn't it? He's making a difference in the lives of our young people. Thank you, Coach, for being here with us to celebrate this great time in your life, and we'd love to have a few words from you. Let's hear it for the coach.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm very honored to be here. This is a great privilege for me to be here, and especially with Congressman Rogers introducing me. And it was a great privilege yesterday at Belfry High School. You know, I've really been blessed in my career to have had so many great people around me, because I don't think success comes to anyone without people around you that are great people. I've had great assistant coaches, great players, great community, great school, and I think a great area that we live in. And I think that's just fantastic. I was reading something just the other day, and I'm not going to talk long, and a person was asked this question: what's the difference between success and significance? And the answer was this: a person works hard to benefit themselves, and that's the definition of success. But when a person works hard to benefit others, that's significance. And to me, that's what life's about. And to me, that's why you're here today, because we're working hard to benefit the lives of others in this area, in this great region of Eastern Kentucky. And I really applaud you, because we can make a difference. It's not easy. Success doesn't come easy. I tell our kids that all the time. Success doesn't come easy. You got to work at it. But together, we truly can make a difference. And that's what we're in this life for. I started to say business, but it's not business. It's life, to make a difference. And as I said yesterday, and as I understand another coach said today, to add value to others' lives. It's been a great privilege for me to be here, and a great honor to be introduced by such a great man as Congressman Hal Rogers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. What's wrong with you? All right. You make that stuff. All right.
Put me in, Coach. I think it's fair to say that we've accomplished a lot this morning in a fairly short span of time. I hope we didn't bore you, but you've had some great presentations, I think, here today. It's great to see the momentum of SOAR moving ahead with full steam. People said at the outset, oh, that'll be a year. It won't last. People will get tired and they won't come to these meetings. They won't take part in the programs. They won't organize. They don't want to leave their own county. Well, here's living testimony. You believe in this cause, and it wouldn't be here without you. And it's going to go a long, long way. Time and again, the Appalachian Regional Commission has invested in programs across our region to boost our efforts to create new jobs and revitalize our communities. Every Congress, since I went there with Ronald Reagan in 1981, every president has attempted to do away with the Appalachian Regional Commission. Every one of them. I mean, some of the presidents I really like Reagan, wanted to abolish the Appalachian Regional Commission. And me and a bunch of us told every one of those presidents, including this last one, hell no. Because we've seen the highways, the water lines, the sewer lines, the economic development that's taking place, the industrial parks, and so many other programs and things that you do locally that there was no money from any other source, including the state of Kentucky or our city and county governments. The only place we had to go, in many cases, was the Appalachian Regional Commission. It works. And Earl Gold, the ARC federal co-chair, and his chief of staff, Guy Land, are with us. Where are you, folks? Stand up. I'm sorry? They headed out. So we want to thank them for their great work over the years. I'm proud to announce that the ARC has awarded a $200,000 grant to the Southeast Kentucky Economic Development Corporation to help more Eastern Kentucky companies become what's called ISO certified. SCED, that organization, their business quality certification program has partnered with the Advantage Kentucky Alliance to help 12 companies earn ISO certification, growing our potential to create jobs in the region. Now, what is that ISO? We'll go into that a bit here. Brett Traver is the executive director of the Southeast Kentucky Economic Development Corporation. Where are you, Brett? Stand up. Turn around so they can see you. Brett's the executive director of SCED. He'll be leading the charge on this project. He's here with us, so feel free to follow up with him about the program later in the day as you see fit. And thank you, Brett, for your work on this project. Let me explain briefly what ISO certification is all about. In order to earn federal contracts and be competitive in job recruitment, most federal agencies require work to be contracted out only to ISO certified companies. For example, all of the Defense Department's contracts in Eastern Kentucky have been awarded to ISO certified companies or a company in the process of becoming certified, like the Regent Corporation in Moorhead, Summit Aviation in Somerset, and Outdoor Venture Corporation in Stearns. If you want to hit a home run, you got to get in the game. And that grant puts us on the competitive playing field that we need to be on to bring good jobs here to our neck of the woods. Let me tell you a little bit about one of those companies called Regent. Is Bob Skena within hearing of me? Bob, where are you? Bob Skena. Well, he's here somewhere. Bob Skena runs a company called Regent, based in Philadelphia. They were looking to locate somewhere in our neck of the woods, and my staff took on a tour of East Kentucky. They fell in love with Moorhead, Kentucky, and Moorhead State University. Some years ago, Moorhead State University asked me for a grant to buy like a 20-foot wide dish, satellite dish. I said, okay, what for? And they said, we want to start a space program at the university. I said, okay, let's go at it. That was 20 years ago. They have built, at the university, they built a school, a space sciences college. And they're making satellites. Some of the satellites in the air now are made in Moorhead, Kentucky. Regent moved a part of his company there, and they now have employed at least 17 of the recent graduates of, come up here, Bob, of the university, building satellites, drones, and all sorts of high-tech stuff that I don't know about. But what a interesting development that is. Bob, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
He's another Pennsylvanian. What is it about you people?
It's wine and Italian food, I think.
Explain a bit here what you're doing there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first off, we're in Eastern Kentucky because of Hal Rogers. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
he's a persuasive man. So what we're doing is we're making wireless equipment for heavy industry around the world. A lot of it in the mining industry. We're in 120 mines around the world. And our radio equipment is used to connect vehicles. And so hundreds of vehicles move around and they all link to each other. And we've recently, with the help of those young graduates from Moorhead State Space and Science Engineering Program, we've taken our technology and put it on drones. So we're now flying drones in swarm formation, and it's kind of spooky. 10 of them will take off, and there's really no pilot in command. Well, there's one, because we have to have one. But they kind of go do their thing, and it's built by, this system is built by these young folks from Moorhead State that work for Regent now. So they're spectacular. They're well prepared. They're hardworking. They're disciplined. They're some of the best employees we have, and they're a production of this community. And so I want to thank you guys for that. You've done a great job with these young people. And thank you again, Hal.
Wait a minute, Bob. We could go all day on this because it's so fascinating. For example, suppose somebody knocks down our GPS satellites. You know what that would do to the rest to us? It would completely cripple us. His company and those young people have developed what they call a cube satellite. It's a small satellite. In case the GPS satellites are knocked out for some reason, they can throw these things up there, these cube satellites, by the swarm, and replace that GPS satellite instantaneously. That's going on in Moorhead, Kentucky, at the university there. Isn't that exciting? As a result of that grant that I mentioned that we've just received, we're also announcing a defense contracting symposium in Eastern Kentucky to be held on October 19th at the Corbin Center in Whitley County. Successful defense contractors will be on hand to provide information about what they need in terms of suppliers and subcontractors. Here's your chance to get involved in a huge piece of America's economy, and that's the contracting for defense materials. We'll have representatives there from the Department of Defense to provide insight on how to prepare to do business with the military and their partners. We have in our area some of the best machinists in the country, many of them laid off now. We should be fueling our nation's military with the skills that the laid off coal miners in our region have. So if you're a small business owner or manufacturer, mark it down on your calendars to join us again October 19th at the Corbin Center to learn more about federal contract opportunities. Over the last few years, SOAR has helped us begin to shift the way we think about ourselves in Eastern Kentucky. And when we begin to truly believe in the ingenuity that exists here, it'll improve the way we market our region to the rest of the world. We're not just coal miners. We're not just farmers. We're all digital coders, medical experts, and aerospace engineers. I visited this week with the new president of Moorhead State, Dr. Jay Morgan, and along with Bob Skina. And they're partnering together to train high school and college students for the aerospace industry. In fact, those students in Moorhead are already learning about engineering, building satellites, getting offers to attend Ivy League schools. They have several satellites that they've made that are circling the Earth as we speak. And that 20-foot dish still works. Not only are they educating and training students, but they're also working with NASA to develop and launch the CUBE satellites that I mentioned to you. And the best part is that students can graduate and find high-tech jobs right here at home with companies like Regent, where they can work and invest their talents here at home. Education, workforce development are at the corner of the transformational change we're actively working for in Eastern Kentucky. And I'm terribly proud of our local institutions for leading the way. You don't have to look far to find innovative educational opportunities at every corner of our region, from the University of Pikeville to Union College, on over to the University of the Cumberlands, EKU, alongside our thriving community and technical colleges across the region. We have highly intelligent students, and we have the best workforce in the country, and we have the drive to achieve success that is out of this world. So as we continue working today, stir your imagination, open up your network, and find ways to share resources so that we can achieve great things together. Let your neighbor know what you can and can't do, and you'll find some commonality and some synergism. 1 and 1 may in fact equal 3 if we know how to do that and want to do it. Finally, let me applaud Jared Arnett. He's perfect for this job. He's a little bit wonky, savvy and smart, dedicated. He's persevering. He puts up with a lot of geeks like me, but he's doing a fantastic job, and I think we owe a lot to our founding executive director, Jared Arnett. Now it comes my great pleasure to introduce our closing speaker. This governor has adopted Soar as his own. He believes in what you're doing, and he relishes what you're doing, believe me. This is an original booster. This is a guy that knows what he's doing and loves doing what he's doing, and he's taken on the work of rebuilding, reinventing Eastern Kentucky as a big part of his public tenure. And we can't do without this governor. We wouldn't be here without him. So let's show the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky how much we appreciate his work helping Eastern Kentucky. Governor Bevin.
You know, when I was a boy, I grew up in, some of you know this, fairly humble circumstances, not unlike a whole lot of people in this part of the country, in this county. I grew up in a county that was 2.5 times the size of Pike County, had half as many people in it. If that gives you some appreciation. It was in the mountains. My dad had a lot of different jobs through the years. One of the jobs that my dad had was a second job that he had. He'd work all day, and at night, while we were at school, he'd be at work, and then at night, we would drive down through this little mountain pass about 45 minutes to a town smaller than this, but a town big enough to have buildings that they would pay you to clean at night. And I would go with my dad and help him clean buildings. And I would clean the ashtrays, which every office had in their offices back then, and I would empty the trash cans and things of this sort. I mention this to you simply because a little bit ago, when I was running around here and there and in between different interviews, I met a woman by the name of Amy. Hers has not been an easy life. Hers has been a life that is very much like what so many of us have come to think of as perhaps typical for people from this region of the country. It's what the outside world would think of folks from Eastern Kentucky. A hard life, a life with ups and downs, but seemingly more downs than the ups would justify. And yet, she's recently been given an opportunity to work here at this convention center. And she's been coming in every single day, grateful for the opportunity to work, grateful for the dignity that affords her the ability to provide for herself, grateful for the chance to come in and make us be able to take for granted what an extraordinary effort has gone in to making it possible for us to enjoy this place. And so I want to ask you, please, for Amy, who's been cleaning these bathrooms that we've been using in the hallways and making this place look so good, and for all the other Amy's who've hung the tapestries and put up the screens and hung these speakers and have put out these ferns, how about if you help me give them the kind of round of applause we would give to these coaches that we've been hearing from? Thank you. Thank you to all of you who made this possible. There's so much that goes into us being able to walk in here, enjoy this lineup, enjoy the amenities, and to be able to go back out of here. I hope you have been inspired. I hope you have heard something that has moved you to action, to a greater degree of action than perhaps you thought you would engage in when you first walked in here. I hope you've taken a moment to visit the people who've set up a booth here. If you've not, we're wrapping up earlier than we have in the past, and there's a chance for you to go and see these folks. Go and meet with them. They've come here, they've set up booths, they've taken their time, they have things to show you and tell you, explain to you. They have books and programs and things that they would have you to understand. Please take a few minutes before you leave this place to do exactly that, to visit these booths and talk to these people, take a card, follow up with people. There's been a lot of things on the screen. Maybe there's one even behind me now with the words all coming together, and there's a couple words that are sort of highlighted there. One of them is the word goals. The other one is leadership. What happens with goals and leadership? That's where there's the possibility for things to happen. We've heard from a number of people, local people, who've inspired us and encouraged us. Lonnie Riley, who came up here earlier and spoke. I had a chance several years ago, 3 years ago I think it was now, to go down and spend with my family several days. We were among those people who have come to Lynch, Kentucky to see the transformation. This was before I was ever a governor or involved in things political. But I will tell you this, as a person who came there with his family, who saw the ability for one man and one idea to be able to take root and to transform things, I'm grateful to you, sir. I'm grateful for what you're doing. I'm grateful to those of you with a similar heart and the other ministries and organizations and rehabilitation programs that we've heard about. These things, this is who we are. We are our brother's keeper. We are responsible for our brothers and sisters, for taking care of ourselves. It's the greatness of Eastern Kentucky, is that this is something that's innate within us as a people. It's been said that without vision, the people will perish, and it's true enough. History has proven that to be very true. It's true for a nation. It's true for a state. It's true for a business. It's true for any organization or any ministry or any endeavor. Without vision, the people will perish. So what is the vision that we have? Why are you here? I will tell you, and I've shared with you before, my vision is that Kentucky will be the engineering and manufacturing hub of excellence in the United States of America, bar none. That there will be no state, while there will be others that do it and do it well, that there will be no state that will be so synonymous in people's minds with engineering and manufacturing excellence, with harnessing the very things that speakers, including the congressman who preceded me, have talked about. There will be no state that better utilizes what it is blessed with in abundance like Kentucky. That is my vision for this state. And I know it can happen. I was asked a moment ago, I did an interview with Renee Shaw from KET. She interviewed myself and the congressman talking about what it is that the Soar Summit means. And I was struck by something as she was interviewing in that moment, turning to the congressman, and something struck me that then I shared with her, is that I remember, how many of you, by a show of hands, came to the very first Soar Summit? Quite a few of you. Have you noticed what has changed? One thing that has changed is that the first Soar Summit, pretty much everybody on stage, or at least the ones that I remember, were from somewhere else. They had come here to tell us what they had done in a region kind of like this, where they had done things that were transformative for their communities. What I'm struck by is with each successive SOAR, including this one, now we have these indigenous speakers. We have people that are coming from our own ranks, people that are coming forward with their own ideas, people that have ideas. And what we also have are people who've heard about what's happening and are coming here because they want to learn from us. They want to participate in what we're doing. That is how progress happens. The vision that was laid out by Congressman Rogers, a simple vision, but it takes action. It takes a level of boldness. It takes a level of commitment. And the vision that I have for this state, for us to be that hub of excellence in engineering and manufacturing, is only possible through folks like you. And I thank you for being a part of it. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. There is no magic switch. You look at the medical center in this town. You look at the university in this town. These things did not become what they are overnight. A lot of work, a lot of cultivation, a lot of effort on the part of a lot of people. It's the same with this. These announcements that have been made, every single one of these has the possibility of being something unbelievable, or it may not. That's life. I was speaking to a reporter earlier about one endeavor that had taken place in this community where people didn't feel that it had accomplished everything that they'd hoped it would. And I said that is called life, and that some people who entered into that opportunity came out not having fulfilled what they had hoped would be their dreams, and yet others did. That is also called life. And we know this. I don't mean to be dismissive, but the reality is sometimes you put seeds in the ground and you don't reap the harvest or in the timely manner that you would have hoped that you would reap. It's interesting. I've asked people before, I don't believe at one of these summits, many of you have gardened and grown crops before. How many of you know the fastest thing you can put in the ground? If you want to put a seed in the ground and you want to eat something soon, what's one of the fastest things you can grow? Anybody? Lettuce, somebody said, which is true enough. But even faster than lettuce, than leaf lettuce. Radishes. But who really wants to eat a lot of radishes? Let's be honest. If you want expediency, if you want to put a seed in the ground and you want to just start eating stuff quick, you can eat a lot of radishes. But I'm telling you, most people don't want a diet of nothing but radishes. Some people want corn, they want beans, they want melons, they want things that take a little more time and care, and cultivation and weeding and thinning and waiting. And that's what we're doing. We're putting all kinds of seeds in. And some are radishes and some are cantaloupes. But the reality is we're putting seeds in the ground. You're the people that are the local farmers. You're the people that are tending that seed. You're the people that are cultivating. You're the ones that are inspiring future generations. There's a woman here named Melissa. She probably doesn't want to be singled out, so I'll only give you her first name. But she's a small town girl. She's a local girl. She grew up here. She now works for Amazon, the company that we were just talking about a moment ago. Dreams are possible in America. The American dream is a real thing. When you have vision, you can succeed at extraordinary levels. Has she forgotten where she comes from? No, she spent last night with her dad, coming back here to her hometown. Is this where she hangs her hat every day? No. But this is where she's from. She hasn't forgotten that. These things matter to people from here, and you know it. But here's the beautiful thing. As the crop begins to grow, and as the seeds begin to germinate, and as things begin to come up, there'll be more and more to harvest. There'll be more and more things in this community that will bring people to here from other places and those that are from here to be able to stay. I grew up, as I said earlier, in a community where I moved away when I was 18. There was not an opportunity for a kid like me to come back. I've been blessed in my life. Others among you have been among those who have perhaps moved away, and you're looking to come back, to pour back. The Rileys, again, didn't expect they would come back and find themselves living in Lynch, and yet they are. Pouring back into a community and transforming people's minds, transforming people's lives, 1, 2, 10, 50 people at a time, one cookie dough ball at a time. The bottom line is a lot can be done. Coach Haywood, 417 wins, are you kidding me, in football? Seriously? That's phenomenal. Phenomenal. He's written a book, I think it's called Faith, Family, and something. I've not read it. I just heard about it. And I'll tell you what, faith, I guess football would make sense. Yeah, forgive me for not. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's kind of the big F there. It's 3 F words we're allowed to say from the stage here. But the faith, family, and football I've not read it. I want to read it. Just meeting him, talking to him, his humility, his success, his ability to pour into young people. Every one of us has some ability to do something like that. I want to leave you with one final thought, and that is this. Abraham Lincoln, a famous son of Kentucky, someone who we know a lot about things that he has said, an amazing guy. He said many things that we know, but I'll tell you, very few, if any of you, have probably ever heard this quote by him. Abraham Lincoln said, "Good things may come to those who wait, but only the things left behind by those who hustle." That's a pretty awesome quote. Just the fact that Abraham Lincoln is saying hustle sounds good. I think Coach Haywood might have appreciated that. But I'll tell you what, you've heard from two great coaches, basketball coach and a football coach, people with a passion for pouring into young people. Do you believe that if we hustle, good things will come to Eastern Kentucky? Do you really believe it? Really? Don't humor me, but do you believe it? Because if you believe it, if you get out there and you hustle and you don't wait for things to come, I don't mean to be dismissive and I don't mean to go off on a tangent. I'm going to say one more quick thing and we'll wrap this up. But about 53 years ago, the then President of the United States came to this region of the country just a little ways up the road in Martin County. And he stood on a porch and he declared that the solution for Eastern Kentucky was other people's money. And I don't mean to be dismissive of what has come of all that, but frankly, that hasn't been the solution. Other people's money being given to you when you want opportunity and dignity and the ability to work and the ability to be employed and to be gainfully productive in your own community is not the solution. It isn't to say that we don't need it, and indeed, we've seen example after example of how the ability to deploy public resources and capital can be transformative. But I will tell you, in those 53 some odd years, I think what I am most grateful for is what we are seeing happen now, which is the realization that it's not just simply something from someone else that's going to make the difference. It's boots on the ground. It's people baking cookies. It's people putting rehab centers together. It's people growing crops in innovative ways. It's people making all sorts of investments with their blood, sweat, and tears. That's what's going to make the difference. Because the humanity that each one of us is innately created, the uniqueness within us, knows for a fact that we want to be self-reliant to the ability that we've been given. And this is what we're trying to do with SOAR. It's why it's easy for me to embrace this. Because this is the greatness of America. I've said that a couple of times. It's true enough. I want to leave you with one final thought. There was a company that was here today. They have now gone. They have other things. They're visiting other places in this community and in a different part of this state as well. They're headquartered in California. What they do is transformative. It is 21st century. It is the absolute embodiment of engineering and manufacturing excellence in the 21st century, advanced manufacturing. They're in the energy business. They're in the energy storage business. They're in the battery business specifically, where so much of what we've been hearing, so much of where things are going from a communication standpoint, from a military and defense standpoint, from a transportation standpoint, so much of the technology and the storage of energy is being changed, literally the half-life of which is remarkable. This company, which is at the cutting edge of that would be producing in America for the first time, a technology, the vast majority of which is produced now in another country. A country that is maybe or maybe not one that we are truly well allied with. All I can say is there's a lot of geopolitical unrest in the world. And the ability to bring that kind of production to North America, specifically to America, even more specifically to Kentucky, and even more specifically to Pike County, would be an extraordinary opportunity. The amount of production of this product that this company makes, that is made by the 3, 4, 5 others in the world who make it now, there isn't even close to being the amount of production as there is for the amount of demand. The amount of demand for this product so outweighs the production that the ability for this company to be successful no matter where they go is almost instantaneously guaranteed, to the extent that they do what they need to do. And they have assembled an extraordinary people, a group of people who have had unbelievable success in this field and others. Their entire executive team was here today. They were here this morning. They were here because they wanted to get a feel on the ground. And they come from different parts of the country, although they're headquartered in California. They were impressed by what they saw, the energy, the passion, the sincerity of the people. They've been here before, some of them. It's possible some of you might have even met them and maybe knew or didn't know that they were here looking at this town. If they come to this town, they would likely have a headquarters for their company because of some of the things they do on the science side that would be in Lexington. But they would have a production facility here in Pikeville. This may not happen, but it's increasingly possible, and I would dare say even likely that it might. This is a company that would bring to this community a production facility of some of the most advanced technology and advanced manufacturing that exists in the world today, in the world of energy, where we can transform, just as Soar is doing on so many fronts, those that have been perhaps in one industry and being able to transform them into people who are productive in producing things in another industry. They would bring 500-600 jobs to start. These jobs would pay between $60,000 and $100,000 a year. These are good jobs. These jobs, like Brady Industries that you heard about, would be jobs that people with the work of the local college and community college system would be able to be trained for these jobs in this community. There are many, many states competing for this company. There are many, many states that they looked at. They only recently came to us, but they have been impressed by the hustle. They've been impressed by the work ethic and the attitude. I hope that a year from now, when I'm on this stage and have a chance to speak to you, that I can tell you who that company is. I hope by then you know exactly who they are. I hope by then they're breaking ground on a facility here. These are the kind of things that I work for on your behalf every single day. I'm out there hustling to the best of my ability. It's how I was raised. I'm grateful to be an American. I'm grateful to be a Kentuckian. I'm grateful to be your governor. God bless you. Thank you.
This wraps up our morning session. The formal part of the day is complete. I want you to enjoy the rest of the day. Lunch is up on the concourse. If it's not raining, you're more welcome to go out and sit on the plaza and eat lunch. We got some music out there. We're going to have some music in here. Thanks to Appalachian Wireless for sponsoring lunch today. Thanks to our partners. Thanks to you. Enjoy the booths. They're going to be open till 4:30. So get out, mingle, network, meet people, get cards. 2 breakouts this afternoon in the second floor ballroom. Invite you to those. The first one at 1 o'clock is on broadband and the digital economy. And then the one at 2:30 is on aerospace and manufacturing. God bless. Thank you for coming. Have a great day.